Hey, hello everyone. So today I am going to start one of the famous framework for the architect, the any softwares, and this is one of the most important concept and practicals, which really it is very important to build the scalable and the robust applications. Okay, so TOGAF is the nothing but the open group of architecture. This is the one of the framework where the most of the enterprises is following these principles when developing the software. So we'll go for this core concept in this video, and architecture development method is the one of the famous method inside this. I will go through that those also. So first is that what is the TOGAF basically? So it's nothing but the Open Group Architecture Framework is a globally recognized framework for developing and managing the and governing the enterprise architectures. Basically, whenever we have to develop any kind of software which we are thinking the for the enterprise, then it means that always we have to follow some standards at everywhere. So this explain about the those enterprise levels policy principles, through that any software how we can easily manage and how the governing enterprise architecture should be. Okay, so basically the core concept is that it nothing but it align the business and IT strategy. So it means that how we can achieve the with the help of this we can easily achieve the open business goal basically in more efficient way and in low risk manner. Basically it provides a structured approach for designing and implementing the enterprise architectures. Okay, and it mainly what the in the short forms it emphasizes for the reuse governance and standardization basically at the enterprise levels. What is the so under this basically we have the we can divide this whole framework in summarized way in the four interrelated domains. Basically those domain is nothing but business architecture, data architecture, application architecture, and technology architecture. So what is the business architecture? Business architecture is nothing but define the business strategy, governance, process. So these all are the main core things which we are doing under the business architecture. Whenever means basically overall we can say that under the business architecture we define our business strategy, business goal, and what is the governance body and policy to achieve those business goals. It will be so those things we are doing under the business architectures. Then data architecture is nothing but to fulfill those business architectures what kind of a structure or data it have to basically when you are building the development, then it data based on the nature of the data it might be used in the many forms on how to modularize the data. And even though how we have to use the right state of the data, it means that in the today words we have the whenever we are doing the data modeling, then it is data is not only the transactional data we have the unstructured data, structured data, as well as the we have the cache layers, geographical location. We some of the software where we are storing the geographical data. So these all are the different kind of data. How those data we structure it. Okay, structure and manage those data. So that is under the data architecture basically. Third one is the application architecture. Application architecture, what it does, it designs the application system and their interactions. It means that whenever the we define the business strategy, data architectures, then after that how those domain basically you have to identify the domain, and based on their domain, here we are deciding that how it will be implemented, how particular one service achieve the domain, basically domain aspects. Okay, so we define the scope of every subsystems, and under that system we implement the application, basically. So that is nothing but designing the application system and their interaction between the different component. Now technology architectures, it define the hardware, software, infrastructure. What is the meaning? Whenever your system is ready, then how quickly you are going in the market, like in the today words, like your infrastructures, your DevOps part, and then your network related things. These all things will come under technology architectures. Okay. Now, in the since I in the TOGAF, under the TOGAF, we have the like architecture development method. It is the core of the, basically, architecture development method is the core of the TOGAF, basically the open group of architecture, and it providing the iterative process for developing the architectures. Okay, so these all are the different phases of the means for the architecting it. Primarily it's have the like 9 or 10 phases. First is the preliminary phases, in which we are nothing but preparing and defining the principles, basically. What kind of the principles? uh, at the organization levels we can adopt it. Okay, so that those are the preliminary things where we are scoping the our business, scoping the architecture also little bit, we can say, and what kind of input and output we are looking, those all things we are deciding under the preliminary phases. Okay, now uh, once the preliminary phases occurs, then nothing but we are also performing the architecture visions, then business architecture, information system architecture, then technology architecture we have, then solution opportunity and solutions, migration plannings, implementation, governance, and architecture changes and management. So these all are the nothing but all these phases is nothing but iterative phases, and combined it is called the architecture development methods, basically. Architecture content frameworks define the deliverable, artifact, and building block created during the ADM phases, architecture development method phases. Means what you have the deliverable items, what is it have the artifacts, and what is the inside that building blocks, architecture building block, basically. And it nothing but this content framework is nothing but provide the structure of the architecture output, ensure the consistency, reusability across the project, and link the artifact to the ADM pages for the traceability. So enterprise continuum and repository, right? What is this? So it's nothing but whenever you are saying that enterprise, right? So enterprise continuum is nothing but it classifies like architecture assets from the generic to a specific. You have the like a repository where the all the generic solution it might be, but how those generic solution you can use for the a specific project or a specific department or for a specific organization. So that's why it classify the enterprise continuum is nothing but classify the architecture assets from generic to a specific. That is an enterprise continuum. Architecture repository, what it is? It stored the architecture artifacts, models, and reusable component throughout the systems, basically. That is the architecture repository. Means thing is that reusable component, it means that wherever the based on the domain, if we have the solution, we have the any component, then if the similar requirement is there, we have to use those component only. from the repository basically, together to support the sharing, the reuse and consistent development. Okay, so what is the how the TOGA promote the architecture in the organizational capability? Again, organization capability identification. Okay, so based on the team size and the team like organization capability, meaning what is the saying organization capability? It means that how much in term of the budget, in term of the timeline, in term of the business goal, this all is the matter whenever you are performing uh, any kind of architecture work, right? These all are the matter. So TOGAF promote the architecture as an organization capability and establish the architecture roles, governance and skills. Define the process of compliance and quality assurance also. Use the architecture board, contract and maturity models. What is the benefit of the this overall TOGAF? So whenever we are following the TOGAF frameworks, then nothing but it align the business and IT strategy. That is the big benefits, and reduce the complexity and redundancy, since it make some kind of principles and it focus on the reusability. So that's why it reduce the complexity and redundancy of the components, enhance the agility and change management, since these all like a core concept, like a ADM, right? Which I said, this is the iterative process, right? So it accept the all the changes at any time, so it's more agile basically. Uh, and whenever the change or business nature is changed, or some new requirement has come, then it welcome to those all changes and they are adopting it basically. So enhance the agility, then encourage the reuse of the architecture assets from the stored repository. Okay, and support the strategic decision makings, use case and practical application, right? So what is the use case? Today, like a digital transformation planning, right? Whenever any department, any organization, we are going for the digital transformation, then it is purely useful to transform the manual process to digitalized form, right? IT modernization is initiative, cloud migration strategy. In the cloud migration strategy also, suppose that you have the application which is the monolithic, and you want to divide into the microservices, and then after that those services you want to migrate over the clouds. So definitely that will be the very practical application use case for the TOGAF. Data governance framework, you are working on the some of the software basis under the some governance body, either the in India like RBI or SEBI or any organization, right? Which under which your software is monitored, right? So data governance framework whenever come, then this covered by the TOGAF basically. Then so these are the basic use case for the ADM. And the four architecture domain ADM is a centered iterative process, that is a summary of the key concept, and content framework repository, enterprise continuum which we already discussed, governance capability framework. So these all thing is there, which is nothing but it does. Now we will go with the detail about the TOGAF architectures development method. So TOGAF architecture development, what is this basically? So it's nothing but see, ADM provide a tested and repeatable process for the developing the architecture, which I said we have the different phases, and in every phases we are testing some set of principles basically, either in the business architecture phase, application architecture phase, data architecture phase. In every phases we have the set of principles. So ADM include the establishing an architecture framework, developing the architecture content, transitioning and governing the realizations of the architecture. All of these activities are carried out within an iterative cycle of a continuous architecture definitions and realizations that allow the organization to transform their enterprise in controlled manners, right? uh, in response of the business goal and opportunity. So see, means ADM activity itself are carried out within an iterative cycle of continuous architecture definitions and realization that allow the organization to transform their enterprise in controlled manners. Okay. So for overall ADM phases are, if you will see this one, requirement management is the center place, right? And under this it start with the preliminary phases, and then these all are the architectures, visions, then business architectures, information system architectures. Then once the information system architecture it will be done, then it go for the technology architectures, opportunities and solutions, solutioning, migration plans. If suppose that some of the system which is already running, how you migrate it into the modern ways without any much risk. Then implementation governance, and then architecture change management. Okay, so these all are the different phases from almost it have the 9 different phases. So from the preliminary to the end. So let's we'll discuss about the different phases. What we are meaning of the these all phases basically. So first we discuss about the preliminary phases. What is it does? Preliminary phases is nothing but it the preparation and in initiations activity required to create a architecture capability, including the customizations of TOGAF or definition of architecture principles. So here is nothing but in the preliminary phases what we does. In the preliminary phases basically we are doing the uh, we are basically we are scoping the our area, right, of the development. When we are saying the scoping, it means that preliminary phases it's define the definitions of every principles basically, which we have to going to follow and throughout the project or throughout the product development life cycles. That there actually the preliminary phases is very important. Okay, so there actually it comes the like first phases. So whenever we are saying that preliminary phases, then this it will be every phase. What is the objective? So preliminary phases objective is that nothing but it determine the architectural capability desired by the organizations. First thing, if you will see the in term of the objective, then in the preliminary phases only we determine the architecture's capability defined by the organizations. Okay, defined by the organizations. And how we are determined by the determining the review the organization context for conducting the enterprise architecture, identify and scope the element of the enterprise organization affected by the architecture capability, and establish the capability maturity target. What is our target product? Okay, so these all are the low level things. Through that in the preliminary phases be determining the architecture capability which desired by the organizations. Okay, and then after that, how establish the architecture capability in the preliminary phases? How define the established organization model for enterprise architecture, define the establish the detailed process and resources for the architecture governance. Means we, even though we given the detail about the what the kind of resource or process we are going to follow for the specific project, for the one mm, for architecture governance. Then select and implement the tool that support the architecture capability and define the principle, basically architecture principles. Okay, so these all are the overall objective of the uh, first phases, preliminary, which is called the preliminary phases, right? And even though in under the preliminary phases we have the like apart from the objective, we have many input. Input, it means that architecture or non-architecture input, and then we have the different steps, and after the step we have the also the output. What will be the output of the preliminary phases? Phase 1. So output, it might be the organization model for the enterprise, is a scope of the organization impact, then maturity assessment, roles and responsibility for the architecture teams we are deciding, constraint on architecture work, what is the constraint, it will be the budget requirement what we have. So this all is nothing but output for the preliminary phases. Okay. Okay, I hope so this is enough. Now we move on the second phase. Second phase means architectural visions. What the architectural vision is? So architectural vision is nothing but whenever we are saying that architectural visions, and so it means that again this is the initial phases of the architecture development cycles. It includes the information about defining the scope of the architecture development initiative, identifying the stakeholder, create the architectural visions, and obtaining the approval to process with the architecture developments. Okay, so this is the main like a role for the architectural vision. What is the meaning of architectural vision? So it's a very simple objective of these phases is nothing but objective of the this architectural vision is what? Developing a high level of aspirational visions of the capability and business value to be delivered as a result of proposed enterprise architectures. Okay, and then obtain the approval for the statement of architecture work that define the program to work to develop and deploy the architecture's outline in the architectural visions. Okay, so this is the overall where the we are deep dive. Basically I can say that we are doing the deep dive about the our visions and identifying the architecture's scope, development scope, and identifying the who is the stakeholders and role and skills, and creating the architecture visions and obtaining the approval to proceed with the architecture development. So these all are about the this I can say the phase A after the preliminary, and this is called the architecture visions. Okay, now phase B. What is the phase B? Business architectures. Okay, we'll move quickly here. Business architecture. Business architecture is what? The development of the business architecture to support the agri architecture visions. Okay. So under the business architecture, what we does? Under the business architecture, nothing but we clarify the objective of the organization at the deep dive level, basically. which support the agreed architecture visions overall. Okay, so business architecture is the one part. Then after that, information system architecture, the development of information system architecture to support the agreed architecture visions, definitely. But in terms of the how the business goal which be decided under the business architecture, how it will be achieved through the different component, different systems, and at the deep level we are going for the information system architecture. We'll go by, in the different sections for the details, but information system architecture is that it. Now technology architecture is nothing but, again, in the technology architecture, nothing but whatever the system and component it has, how at the runtime it will be the support the tech infra, like your infrastructure, your DevOps, and even though your deployments, and then runtime observability, these all will come under the technology architectures. Then opportunity and solution, what it conduct the initial implementation planning and identification of delivery vehicles for the architecture defined in the previous phases. Okay, so it's nothing but we can say that it fix the deliverable delivery vehicles basically. Then after that, migration planning address how to move from the baseline to the target architectures by finalizing a detailed implementation and migration plans. So that is called the migration plans, means how the your baseline product will achieve the target architectures. Okay, implementation governance provided by the architecture oversight of the implementations. Then architecture change management, establish a procedure for the change the new architecture. Suppose that whenever the technology is changed and new, there is a need for the modernize the your existing architecture, then in that time also architecture change management come in the pictures. Requirement management, and this is the continuum basically. Means whenever like a day by day activity, definitely to sustain into the market, architecture change management is the most of the important things. Then requirement management, examine the process of managing the architecture requirement throughout the ADMs. So if you will see this whole graph is nothing but, if you will go here, so there is a these all phases is there, basically nothing but iteratively it happens here. Viewpoint describe the view and architecture that address the stakeholder concerns. The data is expressed in the way of consistent with the data models, like a viewpoint, your different catalog and matrices and diagram is there, and here is the artifacts. Artifact is nothing but it attached with your catalog, matrices, and different diagrams. So here this artifact is pulled from the your architecture building blocks. It depends on the architecture building block and architecture deliverables point. So this all is the overall the architecture meta model provide the common context of enterprise architecture activity. And then after that you have the data models, then architecture view, you have the visions and solution view, which is the physically uh, sustain, right, in overall. So now come about the what is the deliverables, artifacts, and building blocks. Okay, so these are the three important part whenever we are saying about the ADM. Under the ADM basically we can say this is the important part under the TOGAF. Okay, so when so let's come on the like what is the deliverable, artifact, and building blocks. So So these all are the nothing but deliverable. When we are saying that, it means that what kind of the product we are going to build it, and what kind of principles we are going to deliver. Artifact is means nothing but how, if you will see here, this artifact is nothing but it contain the set of your matrices, diagram and catalogs which we were going to achieve. And building block is nothing but here, if you will see, these all are the building blocks basically. Architecture building block means from the different repository you have the building blocks, and you can where you can reuse these blocks basically. Okay. Application services and these all things that. Okay. Now what is the ADM output? So ADM output is nothing but during the application of ADM process, a number of output are product. For example, as process flow, architecture requirement, project planning, plans, project compliances, and assessment, etc. are the might be the your ADM output. Okay, output for product. Okay, in order to collect and present this measure work product is a consistent and a structured manner. TOGAF defined the structure model in which to place them, right? So this is the also the one of the output for the your ADM, right? Architecture development method. Architecture content framework category again, which we discussed already, like deliverables, artifacts. These are the nothing but content framework category. Architecture content framework category. So architecture content frameworks category. So let's discuss about what is the meaning of deliverables. The work product that is contextually specified and in turn formally reviewed, agreed and signed off by the a stakeholder. That is the meaning of a stakeholder deliverables item. Means what kind of things we are agreed before to starting the developments, and we are given the kind of sign off by the every stakeholder. Stakeholder, it means that it might be the client side architect, client side delivery head, or it might be the project managers. So mutually understanding between the vendor person and as well as the client what we are going to deliver. So that's why I'm saying that sign off by the stakeholders. Formal review agreed and sign off by the stakeholders. That is the meaning of deliverable item. It will typically be archived at completion of the project or transition into a architecture repository as a reference models. So this deliverable item is nothing but be keeping this during the transition of the or the execution of the project basically. That is the meaning of deliverables. Artifact and architecture work product that describe an aspect of architecture. Okay. Artifacts are generally classified as a catalog list of the things which we have showing the relationship between things, that is called matrices and diagrams. Diagram, it might be the any kind of system diagrams or class diagram, use case diagram, activity diagram, it might be. Then we give the like a visualize the their relationship basically of the different components. So that is the artifacts, building blocks, component of businesses, IT and architecture capability that can be combined with other building block to deliver the architecture and solutions. Now see what is the relationship between these all three attributes means deliverable, artifact and building block. So if you will see, artifact is nothing but it categorized under the catalog, matrices and diagrams, which I also explain under here. artifact which is classified under these three, right? So here also in the diagram also we will see artifact is again it is classified under the catalog matrices and diagram. So okay, so artifact which are nothing but described here, and building blocks is nothing but it take from the architecture deliverables and other deliverable items. Okay, and then architecture so this is the building block, architectural building block we can say, and here is also the building block, right? So architects, so see that is the relationship between the building blocks, artifact, and deliverable. Deliverable is what overall what we are going to develop. So this all is the delivery under the architecture deliverables, or it might be the business deliverable, right? Overall, and architecture repository from where again architecture repository also have the catalog matrices diagram which will have the one-to-one relationship from the artifact catalog to the reusable building block catalog matrices. Okay, so again you come here, what is the deliverable architectures definitions, artifacts. Artifact might be the process flow diagrams in terms of the architecture definition document, use case diagram, and even the activity diagram it might be, and artifact describe the building block, right? So customer service repository, right? It might be the building blocks, and all is nothing but it represent. Then we can skip this one, artifact architecture artifact preliminary phases and phase A. So phase A means just what is the artifact of the phase A. In the preliminary phases, artifact will be the principal catalog. What is the catalog basically? Phase A, in which we are seeing the architecture visions, right? What is the artifact of the architecture visions? Which is nothing but a stakeholders map matrices, value chain diagram, solution concept diagrams. So these all are the artifact of the phase A. Similarly, phase B is the business architecture, right? So business architecture, what is the artifact for business architectures? Organization or actor catalog. Who will be the like in the use case diagram we can represent for the systems. Driver goal and objective catalogs for the product or for the organizations. Role catalogs will be the business architectures. And similarly, business interaction matrices like what is the footprint diagrams for the product, what is the decomposition diagram, life cycle diagrams, product life cycle diagrams. So these all are the nothing but artifact for the business architectures. Got it? Okay. Now data architecture. Data architecture artifact what is? So it's nothing but ER diagram. When we are making the ER diagrams, right? Data entity or data component catalogs, or data entity or business function matrices. Then logical data diagrams, conceptual data diagrams. So or ER diagram even though. So these are the nothing but artifact for the data architectures. Now phase C, right? Phase C, what is the outcome of phase C? See here every phases have the some artifact, right? Okay, every phases have the some artifact. So what is the application architecture artifact? Is the nothing but how what kind of the application level interfaces is, application portfolio catalog, what is application communication diagram, user location diagram or use case diagram. These all are the negative what output of the applications architectures. Technology portfolio is the technology architectures artifacts. Whenever we are saying that portfolio, it means that what the structured data, unstructured data they are storing, what kind of caching solution we are doing, how we are deploying those applications, what kind of infrastructure we are used. So these all are overall the artifact for the technology architectures. Phase E. Phase E is nothing but what? Whenever we are saying that phase E, it means that we are under application and sorry, opportunity and solution, right? Opportunity and solution. So project context diagram or benefit diagram is the artifact. Requirement management is nothing but requirement catalogs. So these all are the different things which we have. Okay, thank you. I think we will go in the next time to conclude the enterprise continuum. Okay, and we'll come up with much details about this. Thank you.